Hey, what's up? I'm Zach. He's Eric. We are back again for episode 7 of Do That But Better. And today we're talking about training. So we're going to be talking about specifically long-term training. So training for the long game. Eric, how's it going today?
I'm hurting.
Tell me
Uh,
about
man, I haven't done that high of an intensity workout for a while.
that.
And I
Typical.
definitely, the pacing for sure got me. I went out so hot in
Oh, really?
that round. I was
Yeah.
hurt.
What was your final time in the open workout?
I think it was 16:24, I think. Mm-hmm.
You did go out way too fast.
Yeah. Which I did look. I think that was like a 10-second improvement from the last time I did it.
Really?
I thought was surprising.
Yeah. Well, what is your problem? Because I did 15:01, and it was like a 15-second improvement.
I have no idea.
I
I
I
do think
I what?
I think at the time I was only working out in our apartment little gym.
Mm,
But I hadn't been doing anything for a while. Not
yeah.
anything for a while. But yeah,
Gotcha.
I don't know.
Because yeah, actually, I felt that this one was going to be a good one for you. Just I feel like burpees you're really quick at. You're shorter than me, so you have less range of motion on both movements. So
I think well, and I mean I've gained like 10 pounds in the last year.
oh
So
yeah,
the snatches went fast. The burpees were slower.
yeah. I actually I had two people that I told them like so they actually redid it, and they they got like minutes better just by slowing down, which seems like the stupidest thing in the world. But yeah, they took their first couple rounds, and if you're putting your hands on your knees in that workout, I feel like you went too fast.
Hmm.
And we actually worked on, even with the snatches, slow it down. It's not, it's just like lift, lift. I like to think of it like rowing, how it's hard on the drive out, and then recover on the way back.
Yep.
And on the burpees, I think that unless you are an elite athlete, walking your feet in and out is the best way to do it. And then because you know that you have to jump at least 24 inches, and so save everything for that. You've already got 200 and what was it, 25 jumps in the whole workout. If I'm doing more jumps in my burpees also, it's like, why would I add in another however many that is?
Yep. And it's so taxing on your core popping up and then the impact when you land from the jump,
Yeah,
you out.
absolutely. But yeah, well, so it's 1-1, 1-1. I'm excited. What do you think the next open workout's going to be?
I was thinking about it. I don't think there's ever been an open without pull-ups,
Yeah.
without a barbell.
Well, there
So
has
I
been one
have to.
without a barbell. Because
Oh,
when they first
barbell.
introduced the dumbbells, like everyone was
Yeah,
furious because there was no barbell.
we'll
Yeah.
see. I
I
assume pull-ups.
I think muscle ups. So I think it's going to be bar muscle ups because the equipment list was a bar, and I think that it actually specifically said with room, like so. I think that you might need to do the muscle up, and
Hmm.
then I would like so obviously thrusters haven't been in there, and I feel like there's always a Fran type workout.
Yeah.
But I'm I'm thinking that they might go heavy, and so possibly ascending weights, or I was thinking ascending ladder. But I feel like we had two ascending ladders already. But if they just want to go ascending on everything,
Yeah.
so I was thinking like bar muscle ups, like maybe like 3 bar muscle ups, and then some thrusters or maybe even some clusters, and then continuously increasing either weight or weight in reps, almost like that. Do you remember it was like toes to bar and cleans or like something like that, where the weights kept going up each round if you made it to the next thing.
Yeah.
So I was thinking something like that might be pretty awesome. So you can get heavy, you can still be working hard. Like you have to harden fast. Maybe it's a 3-minute interval, and you have to get like 2 rounds of this, and then add weight, and something like that.
I wonder then. Well, I guess if it's heavier, because they have the equipment-free division, if they would do something like pistols, how would you make it heavier without equipment? That might be.
Yeah, actually, I haven't even looked at any of the non-equipment workouts, but I know that they said that it was going to be difficult.
Yeah, I almost did this one because I couldn't find equipment, but it was squat snatches with a broomstick or PVC and broad jump.
Oh man,
and that would have been it would have been tough.
Yeah, for sure. But yeah, well, speaking of the Open, so one thing that has come out of the Open, and I love it, people start looking at the things that other people are doing, right? And so you start seeing people who are the best in the world, and they're like, oh my goodness, hey, you've been telling me to keep my butt down in my snatch, but Tia Claire Toomey is just straight up like bend over, wow.
RDL, yeah.
Yeah, and they're like, I think that this is the way to do it. And it's like, well, that might be a way to win a competition, and but are we training for longevity? And I do think that things can be a little bit different in a competition versus in a workout, but especially in the world of CrossFit, I feel like we get lost in the competition, and we start thinking that every day is a competition. So yeah, trying to change that around a little bit. So that was one of the things that we wanted to talk about today, is trying to look into what do we need to do to train for the long haul, for long-term health, for strength, and whatever it is.
Yeah, I think
so. Go ahead.
Oh, well, like kind of what you mentioned is the competition side of CrossFit. You start to get where your score for the workout or the weight that you lifted becomes the end, and then justifies the means of whatever you have to do to get the best score today.
Right.
And that it clouds the vision for your long-term goal of, I want to be doing this for the next 50 years.
Yeah. I often feel like, especially because there is the games and there are standards, which I think is great for the competition, and even just to push people once a year. And with the wall walks, we've done wall walks in workouts, and people go, all right, I'm going to do it like this. But now you have a specific standard, and you go, hey, just try this out. And we had multiple people who were able to do it, and they were able to do it really well. But they probably wouldn't have done it if it was just a workout. But on the opposite end, you get where, hey, this is the standard. Like, let's say for wall balls, and where you're going to be doing a full squat and throw, and we want to get our hips below our knees. All right. Now, ideally, if you have full range of motion in your ankles, knees, and hips, we're going to be getting our butt to our ankles, fully closing the knee, and that's how people are going to squat. But when you go, all I got to do is get my hip below my knee, and now let's say that they wanted to get better in the Olympic lifts. It's like, well, guess what? Just hip below the knee isn't going to cut it if I want to have a really good clean or a really good snatch. And so now what I'm doing in practice, like in a workout, is not meeting up with the things that I want in the long term.
Yeah. And even, I mean, that stuff transfers, right? Like most people who throw out their back are, tying their shoes or picking up a golf ball out of the hole. And if you can't actually bring your hips down, or if you aren't experienced at, doing like a hip hinge, then you're hurt yourself. Right. And so practicing those things, like it actually transfers. It's not just an arbitrary standard that, we just decided this is how we're going to do it. Like that's how your body works. And it's going to make your life better by doing it that way.
Yeah. And the funny thing is that I think that we see this in kids all the time. Like we tell a kid who wants to play baseball and you're like, hey, you should throw like this. And hey, let's practice. Actually, I was just working with Maddie the other day and just getting a hand up and then just hip tossing. And then we worked sideways. So we're taking these small steps. And it's like, hey, these are the things that you need to do to get better at this thing. And they're like, well, but I made it to you. And it's like, yeah, good. But number one, yes, you did. Can you do it consistently? And how good are you at doing it? Or are you going to get any better by doing it this way? And it's like, no, the way that they were throwing, it was you can throw your arm out, right? Because you're just throwing with your arm, and you're probably not going to throw very far, very fast, very accurate. And you go, all right, but I got the job done today, so I got my score in this workout. And it's like, all right, but are you going to be able to improve that?
Yeah. Yeah, it's like when you have an inefficient way of doing something, it's the most efficient way that you know. So like my efficiency here, and if I try to change it, it's going to drop. But learning that new, more efficient way of doing it is going to drop it and then go straight through the ceiling of the max potential of whatever you were doing before.
Right.
So like Matty throwing crazy sidearm only works to a certain extent, and then it can't improve, like you said. And changing it is going to drop it a little bit, but then it's going to get way better. And that's hard to see. It's hard to go through that drop of like, okay, cleans. If you're someone who does the crazy splits with your feet and power cleans everything, it's hard to start catching stuff in a squat because you're going to have to take weight off the bar.
Yeah.
But unless you go back and take the weight off the bar and learn to get into a squat, you're never going to add weight to the bar.
Right. Yeah. And I think that's super hard. Number one, if you are the strongest or fastest, right? So if you do it pretty well, you go, well, why would I change it? And why would I get worse for a small time? And and it really comes down to that delayed gratification. What am I actually trying to do? And really, lots of times I feel that we start looking at the people who do things really well. Actually, I was just listening to Chris Henshaw talk about what's his name, Rich Froning. And he was talking about running, and he's like, look, Rich Froning heel strikes. Now, he could go in there and try and fix his heel strike so that he's running more efficiently. But when you have a professional athlete who is at the top of their game and the top of the world, do you want to mess with changing that thing, possibly opening up a host of other things? And if you do, like, does that make their performance worse this year, right? Where they make their money. And so for that person, it's like, no, forget it. they're going to win the money, right? But if your goal isn't to win the money right now, today, then it's like, all right, how do I make this better so that I don't get hurt? Because a professional athlete's putting their health on the line when you are competing. But if you're not interested in putting your health on the line, if you're actually exercising for health, then maybe we should change up what exactly we're doing.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and that's, like just finding some clarity and being honest with yourself, like what really is most important. Because it's difficult to shift your focus away from what's right in front of you and towards something that you can't see yet.
Yeah.
It's hard to look that far in the distance of like, when I'm 80, what kind of shape do I want to be in? Do I want to have my original hips and knees? Or am I planning on having them replaced? Do I want to be able to live on my own and take care of myself? Or do I want someone else taking care of me? Because that's going to change the way you approach your training and your nutrition compared to like, I'm going to do this local competition in 3 months and I want to add 20 pounds to my deadlift right now.
Right.
I'm going to do that by just putting it on the bar and pulling it.
Yeah. And that might be great for that goal. If it's, hey, I need to do it right now. But yeah, when we start looking into the future, and I'll have to say that when it comes to training for longevity, I think that, and really it doesn't even have to be training exercise wise. It's like, if I'm trying to get better at anything, I would say that most people don't have a clear vision of what they really want. So, people coming in the gym and they're like, all right, I would like a membership. And it's like, all right, why? And it's often a really hard question. And they're like, well, I want to work out. Well, why do you want to work out? And, whether it's, hey, I want to be stronger. Okay, why do you want to be stronger? What do you want to be stronger in? Do you want to be able to do pull-ups? Do you want to be able to do 10 pull-ups? Do you want to be able to do pull-ups with a band? Or is it, hey, I want to deadlift 400 pounds? Or is it, hey, I want to play with my kids? And it often takes a long time of actually thinking and really like peeling back the onion. So the 7 whys. All right, why do I want to be able to do a pull-up? And then, I think it makes me feel strong. And it's like, all right, why do you want to feel strong? And maybe it was, somebody called me weak, or maybe I wasn't able to do this thing. I was trying to climb over a fence to get the ball that my kid kicked over the fence, and I couldn't do it, and, just keep getting into why. And now we can start finding out, number one, how important it is to you, and then what we need to do to get to it.
Yeah. Most people definitely not take the time to consider any of that.
No, yeah. Even if it comes to like, hey, I want to have abs, right? All right, why do you want to have abs? But yeah, and sometimes that can be for health, but now when you start thinking about it, because you think, hey, I want abs because it means that I'm healthy, and it's like, oh wait, does it actually mean that I'm healthy? And what do I need to do to get there? Yeah. So yeah, when we're thinking about looking towards the long game, I think it's super important that you have some steps. And so actually I put down a few steps. So I think that one of the most important things is that we need to assess where we're at. And so, all right, I'm here. Hey, maybe I feel overweight. Maybe I feel like I'm weak. Maybe, maybe I went to the doctor and I had, I got bad info, right? So, my blood pressure's high, my whatever it is. And you go, all right, this is where I'm at. And then we need to start looking at where we want to be. But I think one of the biggest things with that is that we actually have to say it out loud. Write it down and start
Totally.
looking at what that is.
Yeah. And like make it specific, which sometimes it helps to say, where don't you want to be?
Mhm.
One that comes up all the time is, my parents and my siblings are unhealthy. My whole family's overweight. Everyone dies at 55 from heart attacks, and I don't want that to happen. Like, okay, you got a clear picture there. What do you want it to look like? Right? Like, once you have a clear picture of what you don't want, now you can start making a really clear picture of what you do want and how that's going to be different. But I think getting specific is huge, because that it might be, I just want to be healthier. And by healthier, you mean you don't want to die of a heart attack in your 50s.
Right.
Right.
Yeah.
Um, and even with that first step too, like assessing where you are, how often does someone say like, I eat pretty well? Like, I don't know, probably like 80% clean. What does that
Yeah.
mean? How active are you? I try to get up and move throughout the day, but sometimes things come up, so really, you know, haven't gone on a walk in like ever. So you're thinking about being healthy,
Right.
but where are you actually right now? That can be
Yeah.
tough. Like, you got to get honest with yourself, and that can be a challenge sometimes. Yeah,
Yeah.
get honest with yourself about where you are, and get clear with yourself about where you really want to be, what you want your future to look like.
Yeah. So when you said that people usually say that they are eating pretty well, I swear every single person I talk to eats broccoli and salmon. It's like I have salad, I have chicken salads, broccoli, and salmon, and I'm like, good night. I don't see anybody picking up the fish when they're at the store. Not one person. And,
What do you eat in between that, in the 6 months in between the times you eat those things?
yeah. Dude, it's like absolutely insane. And here's the thing, I don't think that they're lying. What I think that happens is we remember our highlights. And so we had a salad, we ate some broccoli once, and we had some salmon. And we don't like to think about the McDonald's or whatever else it was that we were eating. And so, although we're trying to make a realistic assessment, it's lost in our highlights. And
Yeah.
so sometimes, even if we're looking, so let's say training, you go, all right, how active am I? And you go, hey, write it down. At CrossFit Chicago Heights, we use SugarWalk. So we're keeping track of all of your workouts and making, like, all right, how many days did I come in? What kind of work did I do? What kind of things did I lift? How fast was I? And now we have observable evidence of where we actually are. And if we're just guessing, so for anybody who's not recording any of their workouts, they're missing a large piece of where am I at, and this affects what kind of progress I'm going to make.
And it helps to be emotional. And recognize like these are just data points. It's not a moral judgment of you. You aren't a bad person because you ate McDonald's and you only ate salmon twice this year. It's just a fact. Like, these are just the things that you do right now. Okay. Like, if once you know, now you know. Now you can make adjustments. But if you never actually pay attention, if you never actually track it, you'll never know, and you'll never improve it.
Yeah, absolutely. But yeah, and so I think that once we know where we're at, where we want to go, then we need to start setting up the steps. And what would the fit me look like, right? So what would they do? How would they sleep? How would they eat? How would they train? And now when you go into that gym and you're really freaking tired, and you were up all night because you were with the kids or you were studying or whatever it was, and it's 5-rep max deadlifts, and you're like, well, should I hit a PR? Probably not. Not today, because we're looking for the long game. And actually, when you think about this, even just with injuries, so injury-wise, we get injured when the load overcomes the capacity. So what our capacity is. And this is not just workouts. So if you say that we have a graph, right? And we're like, this is our capacity here. And we start building boxes. And everything that we do is going to affect this in some way. So if I have, my sleep, right? If I'm not sleeping, this might be a big box because I'm not recovered, right? Mm-hmm. And so now it's like building up. And then my nutrition. Oh, I'm eating a bunch of crap food. And it's like, oh, I'm getting closer. I haven't even worked out yet. Now maybe I'm at school and I'm stressed out because I got finals. Or at work something is getting really tough. And so I'm just totally stressed out. Or maybe I just had a kid and I'm, everything is crazy. But now we're building that up, and now the little workouts that you do, say maybe it's once a week, and then you get hurt and you hurt your shoulder doing pull-ups, and we go, well, pull-ups, man, I just can't do them anymore. And it's like, no, it was like everything else in your life. What's that? Uh-oh.
It's kipping. It's kipping pull-ups that ruined your shoulder.
Right. Exactly. But yeah, there was so many other things that were building up to this because we weren't looking at the long game. So we're looking at today, and I want to do all this today. But it's like, no, just chill out.
Yeah. Yeah, and even figuring out where you want to be, looking way long term, like end of life long term, to 5 years, to this year, is gonna change stuff. Like if you know that you are training for when you're 8, that's gonna give you a path for these steps. For like, okay, what do I want to do along the way? Maybe things, being a world-class powerlifter, maybe that doesn't fall in line with your long-term life goals. But if you're doing CrossFit for 10 years, maybe you start to get a little burnt out and you want to try something else, or you try new sports. All of those things can fall under that umbrella of my long-term goals. So you have a lot of different options, and you can take a lot of different paths. You don't have to get set in. You don't have to say I only do CrossFit because that's the one thing that's going to get me to that end goal. Right. There are a lot of different things, and so I think there's a danger of getting attached to the step of saying this one thing is the one thing that's going to get me there, when there are a ton of things. You can bounce around, you can try different things, explore a lot, and know that it's all still moving you toward that end goal.
Right. Yeah, absolutely. And I think that we also sometimes we get stuck on what somebody's doing, right? So, and what I mean by that is, I think it's really good to look at people who have the thing that you want, right? So if they have the body composition that you want, the strength that you want, the money that you want, and you go, all right, this is what this person's doing. But we have to, instead of looking at what they're doing, we go, oh, that's what I want, so I need to do what they're doing. But really, we got to go, what did they start doing? And when you've got the Rich Froning or whatever, it's like, all right, oh, he played sports all his life, right? So he had some kind of capacity. He was exercising all the time. He was a strength coach at a college, so he obviously had a strength training background. And then he went into this specialization. So there was so much background way before it. And actually, if you look, so I think that he played baseball in college. You always see him playing his flag football with whatever team that is. I don't know if he played high school football or whatever it was. And he's known for playing roller hockey. So there is a large capacity outside of CrossFit that he was doing, and possibly at a high level, or at least a decent level, where it built him up for the things that he's doing. So we don't want to look at just what he's doing now.
Yeah. I mean, Matt Frazier was just on Joe Rogan, and he was talking about the same thing. It actually reminded me of Doug Larson too. He's another one. Matt Frazier and Doug Larson both started Olympic lifting super young, and they both said that they had coaches who demanded perfect form, and until your form was perfect, you were with a PVC pipe. And he said, like, he was critical of other athletes where, you know, under fatigue their technique starts to break down. And he's like, dude, you got to get, like, that should be consistent. That should never change. Because he had, his parents were Olympic ice skaters, and he lived at the training center. He had a base as a junior weightlifter with outstanding
nationally competitive.
And then it was like, oh, I guess I'll try CrossFit. You know, it wasn't jumping into CrossFit competitions that got him awesome at CrossFit.
Right. Yeah, he wasn't smoking cigarettes and and hanging out in the parking lot, and then he was like, oh, dude, that looks fun. There was a lot that went into it.
Right.
Yeah. And the funny thing is, even with him, so he had coaches who demanded excellence from the very beginning. He still broke his back twice. You know what I mean? So it's like, and his long game was the Olympics. And guess what? At some point that ended because he broke his back, and he's like, all right, that's just not going to happen. And then you just shift. And the thing is that, if you, like, once again, now we're starting back from point one, right? Assess where you're at. And now you can start looking again at what you want, because the right decision now does not have to be the right decision forever. So, you might have had that goal, and you might just not like what you were doing. And so it's like, all right, I'm going to change this and take another path, and that's totally all right.
Yeah, and like, especially looking at a long-term goal, the risk-reward equation changes. Of, like, 1 rep max day, is it 1 rep all out, rounded back, screaming, dragging the deadlift up your legs, 1 rep max? Or is it a 1 rep technical max? Because, like, the training effect of 1 rep max day versus 5x5 day, like, I'll take a moderate weight at 5x5 and take that training effect. Because lifting heavy every day is like, you're getting closer to injury. Like you said, you're pushing the threshold of that capacity. Where there was a guy, he's one of Pavel Sasulin's head trainers. He was Joe Rogan, and they were talking about this. That, like, if your max is 10 pull-ups, I'm not going to have you do 9 pull-ups, because for the next 2 days you're going to be so sore you won't be able to do any. So I'll have you do 5 today, and 5 the next day, and do 5 every day, and then we'll try 6. Because at the end, the guy who does 5 every day has done more reps than the guy who could only do 2 throughout the week. So you're the risk reward of, like, being super sore or possibly getting hurt, it starts to change when you look longer term. So, like, I've got a lot of time to maintain. I've got a lot of time to do the things that I love doing, but I don't have to make every gain right now this year. or in this work, it's a more gradual process. You get to give yourself a little more grace, of like, oh, I'm tired. Okay, what can I do to help myself feel less tired, more recovered?
Right. Yeah. And yeah, the consistency is so huge. And if you don't have a plan, then I promise that you're not going to get there. It's it's like, so finding out what those steps are that you want, and then, all right, here's what I need to do, and this is all that I need to do every day. And it might just be like one pull up, and what were you were saying something about the numbers, but yeah, actually, I had somebody one time, and they wanted to get better at push-ups, and they're like, all right, what can I do? I was like, well, what if you do 10 a day? And they're like, oh, that's too easy. And they decided on 50, and they did it a couple days, and then no longer.
Mm-hmm.
When we could have done 5, 10, whatever it was. We actually did a challenge one month where when you came into the gym, you did as many push-ups as you can, like a comfortable max, where it's like, and they get slow and you just stop.
Mm-hmm.
And whatever number that is, and then you do it before and after your workout. Because I want it to be something that you can do when you're not warmed up, when you're tired. It's just like, no, if I put a gun to your head and said, how many push-ups can you do? You know that you can do this number, right? So it might be 5, it might be 7. And everybody's push-ups skyrocketed. It wasn't a number, it wasn't a specific number. It was totally just the consistency, and that they just kept doing it.
Yeah, you keep doing 5 every day, pretty soon you can do 6.
Yep. Absolutely. Well, yeah. So whenever you're training, I think there's a good place to leave it. Whatever you're training for, or even just trying to get better at, whatever you're trying to progress in, make sure that you're following these steps. So number 1, assess where you're at, but take an accurate assessment, not a guess. All right. Guessing is for goofs. All right. Write stuff down. Measure things. If you want to get better, what gets measured gets managed. All right. Then name where you want to be. All right, and make it specific. Then find out what are the steps that I need to do to get there. Definitely look at people who have what you want, but make sure that you follow from where they started, and where am I actually at, and start moving from there. Actually, that makes me think of I forgot what we were doing, but one of our old coaches, Matt, we had gotten something, and there was like a progression, like maybe we were doing like a handstand progression, and it's like, all right, you're gonna take this much time, and but it's like, he's like, did you go to level 4 first? Yep. It's like, I'm not messing around with level 1. But it's super important to start there and make it easy. If it seems too easy, it's probably the right thing to do. And then keep going. All right. Make sure that you're getting your rest. Make sure that you're doing it consistently before we start ramping up that intensity.
Yeah. Man, one thing with something being too easy,
yeah,
whenever you feel the urge to say that, then tell yourself, prove it. Is doing 10 push-ups every day too easy? Show me. Show me how easy it is. Show me for a week how easy it is.
Yeah. There was a book called I think it was like Convict Conditioning, and it was so funny. One of the frequently asked questions in their push-up module, like, because I think you started like here, and then you moved out 1 finger length, and then 1 finger length, and you did it over a long progression. And one of the frequently asked questions was, can I move out like quicker? And it's like, no. Like, like, how long can you do something until you don't get benefit out of it anymore? And I think that was such an awesome statement, that it wasn't that you can't move on. It's that, why would I not stay here if I'm still making progress?
Right.
Yeah.
Be patient.
There you go. yeah, find your goals and then go hit them. You guys, if you have some goals that you guys are looking to accomplish, reach out to us. You can reach me at CrossFitChicagoHeights.com on Facebook, or CrossFit Chicago Heights on Facebook or Instagram. You can also reach out to me personally at Zachary McGathy on Instagram and Facebook. Eric, where can they reach you?
Yeah, Eric McGathy on Instagram, or Fit to Thrive Coaching on Instagram and Facebook.
All right, cool. We will see you guys next week for Do That But Better, Tuesdays at 2 o'clock. We'll see you guys later.
All right, see ya.